Welcome to the deep dive. I'm still buzzing from that incredible RCB win. Their first IPL title after 18 years. Wow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely electric. It wasn't just about cricket, was it? That kind of shared emotion, that energy.
Exactly. It really stirred something deep, and it actually makes a perfect lens for what we're exploring today.
It really does. So today we're getting into two really critical concepts, aptitude and foundational values.
And, why these topics right now? Well, apart from being just fascinating, they are super timely. We think these are highly likely to feature big time in the 2025 mains exam, kind of like how civil servant values dominated the 2021 paper.
Right, and we saw this before. Remember our last deep dive on values? 4 questions from that one class popped up in the 2024 mains.
Exactly. So this isn't just theory, folks. It's practical, really valuable stuff we're digging into.
Our goal today is simple. Pull out the most crucial bits of knowledge for you, give you a direct shortcut to, really getting a handle on these vital subjects.
We'll try to keep it engaging, maybe a few surprising facts, perhaps even a laugh or two along the way.
Hopefully. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. All right, first up, aptitude. We hear this word a lot, but what does it actually mean, like at its core?
Okay, so aptitude. Think of it as an innate thing, an inborn ability or capacity.
Innate, like you're born with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Think about someone who's just naturally brilliant at debating, or someone who just gets how to write a perfect answer without really trying. That effortless quality, that's often aptitude.
Effortless. I like that. So how is that different from just being intelligent?
Yeah.
IQ, knowing lots of stuff.
That's a really important distinction. Intelligence, or IQ, that's usually about broad knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Across lots of subjects. And it grows as you learn more.
Okay.
Aptitude, though, is more focused. It's often linked more to, say, emotional intelligence, EQ. It's about a specific knack, a way certain tasks just click for you.
Huh, interesting. So maybe more EQ than IQ.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
It can be, yeah. Because recognizing your aptitude gives you a strategic edge. Like, if motivation's low, maybe you start with the subject that comes naturally to you. It gets you going.
Right.
And here's a key thing. Unlike intelligence, which you can keep building, aptitude tends to be pretty stable. It doesn't usually shoot up or drop significantly. It's kind of like your baseline potential in an area.
Got it. Like, I can learn cricket rules, but having that natural batting talent is different. So what about skill and ability? People mix those up with aptitude all the time. How do we untangle skill, ability, and aptitude?
Okay, let's break it down. Skill is something you learned in the past through practice, like playing the guitar. It's backward looking.
My dusty guitar in the corner confirms that. That's the skill.
Now, ability is your present capacity. Can you pick up that guitar today and play something? That's your ability.
Okay, past skill, present ability. So aptitude fits in. Where?
Aptitude is forward-looking, futuristic, you could say. It's your innate potential to excel. It hints at your future problem-solving capacity based on those inherent strengths. Like a natural math aptitude suggests you could handle complex equations later, even if you haven't yet.
Ah, crystal clear. So skill, learned it. Ability can do it now. Aptitude, potential for the future. Understanding that potential is huge, right?
Yeah.
Especially for public service.
Couldn't agree more. It's fundamental.
All right, let's switch gears. Foundational values, starting with the big ones, honesty and integrity. Often used together, but you mentioned they're like steps on a staircase. What's the difference?
Yeah, they're definitely not the same. Honesty is basically just being truthful, stating facts. Like the Yudhishthira example from the Mahabharata is classic.
Ramimi.
He was asked if Ashwatthama was dead. He said yes, which was factually true. But he meant the elephant, not the person. He followed the rule, but kind of skirted the deeper moral truth.
Ah, okay. So technically honest, but maybe not entirely upfront.
Exactly. Integrity is that higher step. It's about upholding ethics and values even when no one's looking. Honesty is just the first step. You need to add morals, that inner compass, to get to integrity.
Right. So the key is honesty is factual truth. Integrity is ethical conduct, especially in private. You can be honest without integrity, but you absolutely cannot have integrity without honesty.
Precisely. Let's make it concrete. Think about a tender process. You're a public servant choosing medical equipment suppliers.
Okay.
Company A is cheaper, but, they have a patchy record, like the HAL example we mentioned earlier with the Air Force. Sometimes commitments aren't met. Company B costs more, but they always deliver. What do you do?
The classic dilemma. What if I'm just thinking like a typical bureaucrat, worried about my own skin?
Then you probably choose Company A. It's cheaper, fewer questions asked, right? You're focused on self-preservation, avoiding scrutiny.
Mhm.
It prioritizes your safety over potentially the public good.
Okay, but if I'm acting with integrity, with a democratic attitude,
Then public interest comes first. You choose company B, the reliable one, even though it's pricier. And you justify it properly, maybe with a detailed note in the file, showing why it serves the public better long term.
so integrity means sticking to that ethical choice,
Yeah,
even if there's pressure, like threats, or maybe bribes.
absolutely. Refusing to change a decision because someone influential leans on you, that's integrity in action. Standing firm.
That naturally leads us to conflict of interest. That seems to pop up everywhere, especially in case studies. How do we define it simply?
It's basically when your professional duties clash with your personal interests or relationships. It's a problematic mix, often leading to things like nepotism, favoritism, maybe even corruption.
And Cotillia called it a revenue of corruption ages ago.
Wow, it's an old problem. The ethical hierarchy here is crystal clear. Public interest always comes first. Then organizational values. Then personal interests. But only if there's absolutely no conflict. If there is, personal takes a back seat.
Got it. And you mentioned this is a hot topic for exams.
Definitely a favorite, often in Section A. You really need to understand this one inside out if you're aiming for public service.
Speaking of public good, let's talk responsible stewardship of public resources. Sounds like the doctrine of trust.
Exactly. The public trusts the government with their money, expecting it to be used efficiently and wisely for public services. Violating that trust is a huge deal.
And misuse of official position is a prime example.
For sure. Like a banker secretly moving funds from dormant accounts. Or that case with Justice Yashwant Verma, remember the cash found during a fire at his home? A really stark, unfortunate example of misuse of power, even judicial corruption.
And it's not just about following orders, right? You can't just be a yes man.
No way, that's critical. Integrity means applying your own independent bureaucratic morality. You obey lawful orders only, even from the top. It's like in that movie Red, where the agent insists on a formal, faxed order from the PM's office. That's applying independent judgment.
We see these integrity breaches in the news too, unfortunately. Any recent examples?
Well, there was the new India Cooperative Bank scam in Maharashtra fairly recently, around 122 crores, I think. Senior officials misused public deposits for unsecured personal loans. A very clear, modern example of a massive integrity failure in the financial sector.
That's deeply concerning. Okay, let's tackle this powerful quote. Integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, but knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful. Let's unpack the first part. Integrity without knowledge. What does that look like?
It's basically having good intentions, a strong moral compass, but lacking the skills or understanding to act effectively. Imagine wanting to expose corruption but having zero clue about RTI procedures. Good heart, but useless effort.
Right. Like trying to fix a car with just enthusiasm.
Exactly. Or, back to cricket, a team known for fair play, that's integrity, but they just don't have the skills, the knowledge of how to play well enough to win. Admirable, but ineffective.
All heart, no impact. Okay, but the second part. Knowledge without integrity. That sounds much scarier.
It is. It's incredibly dangerous. Think about ball tampering in cricket again. Those players have the knowledge, the skill to alter the ball, but lack the integrity to play fair. Or historical figures, Ravana, Duryodhana, Osama bin Laden. Immense knowledge and skill used for terrible ends. Mahatma Gandhi warned about knowledge without character. Same idea.
So you could almost map this, maybe like a quadrant,
Yeah.
based on skill and values.
Absolutely. Quadrant 1, high skill, high value. That's the ideal, the leaders we need. Quadrant 2, low skill, low value, generally ineffective. Quadrant 3, low skill, high value. These are the folks you can train. They have the right heart, just need the skills. Think Mission Karma Yogi, aiming to build both.
Okay, and the fourth quadrant.
That's the dangerous one. High skill or value. Smart, capable, but unethical. They can cause the most damage because they know how to manipulate systems or people for their own gain.
That framework is really useful for thinking about people and potential risks. Okay, let's move to other core public service values. Objectivity, impartiality, nonpartisanship. Start with objectivity. What does it mean to be truly objective as a public servant?
Objectivity is about making decisions based purely on facts, merit, fairness, not opinions or personal biases. It means documenting why you made a decision, maybe in an official office note, and crucially, getting advice from subject matter experts, SMEs, when you need it. Don't pretend to know everything.
Where does this really hit home ethically? Like in a high-stakes situation?
Vaccine trials are a perfect example. Decisions have to be based on factual trial data. Public safety first, always. You can't bow to pressure to release something early, and you absolutely cannot ignore inconvenient facts, like potential side effects for some groups.
You can't just cherry pick the good news.
Never. And remember the controversy around lateral entry into government service?
Vaguely, yes.
Well, the initial notification for, I think, 43 posts lacked clear, objective criteria. People immediately questioned if it was truly merit-based. The government eventually had to pull it back, essentially acknowledging those inconvenient facts about the process flaws.
Got it. Okay, next. Impartiality. Treating everyone fairly. But what about things like reservation policies or affirmative action? That seems like treating groups differently.
It does, but impartiality allows for justified discrimination. It's not about arbitrary bias. Policies like reservations aim to correct historical disadvantages, to create genuine equality of opportunity. It acknowledges that treating everyone identically now doesn't work if they didn't start from the same place.
So there are different philosophical takes on this, like Kant versus Rawls.
Exactly. Kant argued for absolute impartiality rules should apply universally, identically to everyone. Rawls, with his difference principle, argued for a relative impartiality. You can justify treating people differently if it benefits the least advantaged in society. It's about the fairest outcome, not necessarily identical treatment.
That clarifies the nuance. How does this play out practically, say, with issues for working women?
Things like maternity leave or menstrual leave policies. From a strict Kantian view, maybe it looks like unequal treatment. But from a Rawlsian perspective, it's justified discrimination addressing specific biological and societal needs. These policies actually promote professional ethics, collegiality, and a better work environment by acknowledging real differences.
So true impartiality sometimes requires targeted adjustments for equity.
Precisely. And it applies broadly, too, treating all bidders in a tender fairly, dealing with all political parties equally. It's like secularism in India, equal respect for all religions, principle of neutrality.
Which leads perfectly into nonpartisanship, political neutrality. How does a public servant manage that today? It seems harder than ever.
It is challenging. Nonpartisanship means serving whichever political party is in power with the same professionalism. Maintaining political neutrality. Your relationship with the current government should be the same as it would be with the next one, regardless of your personal beliefs.
And definitely avoiding posting supportive things about politicians on social media.
Oh, absolutely. That undermines the dignity of the office. But crucially, nonpartisanship does not mean being a yes man.
Right, that clashes with integrity, like we said.
Exactly. You still apply your values, your independent judgment. You follow lawful orders only. A key tip for case studies. If a politician suddenly enters the picture, be alert. It often signals potential issues like nexus, nepotism, favoritism, maybe corruption, and definitely a test of nonpartisanship.
Any thinkers who really framed this well?
Kenneth Kanagan is one. He stressed that the civil servant's job is implementation, not policy formulation, at least in the traditional view. Recruitment must be merit-based, and personal political views kept private to maintain the office's dignity, even if your personal views clash with organizational direction sometimes.
And we saw a real-world example recently.
Yes, the Gujarat government's social media advisory telling civil servants to avoid sharing political opinions online. That's a direct attempt to uphold political neutrality in practice.
Okay, shifting to professionalism and dedication. Professional ethics sounds like it's more than just being good at your job, technically.
Much more. It includes technical skills, your professional competence, or IQ, sure. But it also wraps in all these values we're talking about. It leads to what's called holistic competence, being skilled and ethical and well-rounded.
So an organization that, say, ignores issues like the gender pay gap, or doesn't promote inclusivity, or fails on providing necessary leave, they lack that holistic competence, even if they're technically proficient.
Absolutely. They're undermining their own code of conduct, the spirit of true professionalism. This is where collegiality comes and colleagues supporting each other, sharing work, building teamwork. It's vital.
And we see violations in other areas too. Mental health, working hours.
Definitely. Tragic cases like Atul Sapaj and Anna Sebastian highlight workplace mental health struggles, and controversial statements about extreme working hours. These touch on professional ethics. Plus, the bigger picture, rising company profits but stagnating wages. That devalues labor, a huge ethical issue.
That's a profound point. Okay, dedication to public service. This often creates that classic conflict, work versus family life. A real tightrope walk for public servants.
It really is a common case study theme, especially involving working mothers. The ethical hierarchy remains. Public interest first, then organization, then personal needs, but without conflict. You can't just say, I quit in an exam scenario. You have to find a balance.
And sometimes dedication means going the extra mile. What was that term?
Supererogation, yes. Going beyond the strict call of duty, working late, weekends, even when you're tired or demotivated, because the public interest demands it.
How can someone practically manage that work-life tension?
Well, you could try persuading managers for flexible options like hybrid work, taking short, necessary leaves, maybe using external support like telemedicine or hired help for family care. The key is maintaining professional integrity throughout the process.
And always upholding respect and dignity in interactions, even when things are tough.
That's non-negotiable for maintaining the dignity of the office.
Okay, let's explore empathy, sympathy, and compassion. You said these are overdue for direct exam questions. How do we tell them apart? They feel reloaded.
They are related but distinct. There are a couple of ways to see their progression, but both end in action. One common view. Empathy is feeling what someone else feels internally. Like, I feel your stress about the exams, putting myself in your shoes.
Okay, feeling it.
Sympathy is acknowledging that feeling externally. Maybe saying, I see you're stressed, here are some resources that might help. Compassion is taking action to help, like, let me review your answers and give you feedback.
Feel, acknowledge, act. I like that. Empathy. Sympathy to compassion.
That's one way. Another view flips the first two, suggesting sympathy is just recognizing pain, empathy is feeling it, then compassion is acting. But either way, action is the key. Remember the quote, one act of kindness is more beneficial than 1,000 prayers. The real nugget is that understanding is good, but action is what truly matters.
Any key thinkers on compassion? The Dalai Lama.
Yes, he emphasizes compassionate goals and means. In our interconnected world, he says, our well-being is tied together, so act accordingly.
And Khalil Gibran, his view on giving.
He talks about true giving, not just giving extra stuff for show, but giving even when you have little, just for the joy of it, or giving without needing any thanks. He says, it is better to give unasked. Like a tree gives shade and fruit to everyone unconditionally.
Beautiful. And Einstein's take on our connection.
He saw humans as part of a bigger whole. Feeling separate or self-sufficient, he thought, was a kind of prison. We need to break out through collective, compassionate action, recognizing our interdependence.
Powerful stuff. How about Swami Vivekananda's condemn none? That quote, if you can stretch out a helping hand, do so. If not, fold your hands, bless your brothers, and let them go their own way. How do we apply that today, especially as aspiring public servants?
It ties into his idea of positive education. Encourage, don't just criticize. Help build people up. He believed greatness comes from people helping each other.
So like instead of bashing athletes for not winning medals, maybe focus on how we can support them better.
Exactly. Or think back to the COVID migrant crisis. Some people helped, others condemned or just ignored the suffering. For a public servant, this means offer help if you can. If you genuinely can't, at least don't judge or condemn, especially when dealing with diverse people facing different struggles. Practical support, not judgment.
That's a really humane approach. Okay, let's move to building bridges. Tolerance, perseverance, loyalty, collegiality. First, tolerance. What does it mean in our diverse society?
It means actively respecting diversity, religious, linguistic, cultural. It's based on unity, brotherhood, peaceful coexistence, not just putting up with difference, but valuing it.
And its relevance today feels huge.
Absolutely. Think about religious intolerance, debates around things like the Waqf bill, communal tensions, or growing linguistic intolerance. Tolerance calls for unity and diversity, respecting others' rights. Past exam questions on Naxalism, terrorism, cyber terror often touch on failures of tolerance.
So for a public servant on the ground,
you have to be mindful of different backgrounds. Solutions need to be inclusive, respectful of everyone involved. You can't base your approach on one group's doctrines or norms. Tolerance means active respect and inclusion.
Got it. Now, perseverance. That RCB spirit again, but beyond just sticking with it.
It's that persistent commitment despite obstacles, setbacks, feeling demotivated, a never give up attitude, resilience. But crucially, it's not just about reaching the goal, it's about sticking to rightful means. Yeah. No unethical shortcuts. How you play the game matters.
Like RCB's 18 years, or civil service aspirants going through multiple attempts, fighting demotivation.
Yes, or emergency responders, healthcare workers during COVID, firefighters in a blaze. They keep going in incredibly tough, dangerous situations, driven by duty. That's perseverance with integrity.
Okay, loyalty. This one can feel tricky. Where should a public servant's loyalty lie? especially when it seems to clash with doing the right thing.
That's the crucial point. The ethical hierarchy is clear. Loyalty #1 is to the public interest. #2 is to the organization. #3 is to personal values and the law.
So loyalty isn't an excuse for covering up wrongdoing.
Never. You can't be loyal to a senior by hiding their corruption. You can't be a yes man to bad practices. Your primary loyalty is higher. The recent Pune-Porsa case is a terrible example of misplaced loyalty. Police officers seemingly prioritizing protecting someone over public safety, leading to alleged evidence tampering, dereliction of duty, suspensions.
A stark contrast.
It shows loyalty must be to the principals and the public, not to individuals when they act wrongly. True loyalty isn't blind obedience.
So positive examples would be like Dr. Kalam's dedication to public service, or police enforcing laws even if they personally disagree.
Exactly. Their loyalty is to the system, the law, the public interest it serves.
Lastly in this section, collegiality. Teamwork, but maybe more.
Yes, it's more than just teamwork. It's collaborative, cooperative working, building positive give-and-take relationships. Like an IRS officer getting crucial backup from an IPS batchmate during a raid because they have that collegial bond.
What are the benefits beyond just efficiency?
It helps resolve conflicts better, ensures people rely on each other appropriately, interdependence, not overdependence. It builds camaraderie, a positive work culture, makes the workplace better.
And you mentioned applying this even to the care economy or households. That's interesting.
Yeah, think of a family as a team. Collegiality means everyone collaborates, shares responsibilities like housework, childcare, not just dumping it on one person, often the woman. Better teamwork at home improves the work culture there and might even help address bigger issues like women losing jobs due to unequal burdens. Collegiality fosters mutual support everywhere.
Really broadens the concept. Okay, let's tackle some contemporary ethical issues. First, cyber and social media ethics. This field is exploding with dilemmas.
It really is. We've seen exam questions on AI, the internet, cyber terror. I predict future focus on digital media ethics, OTT platforms, impact on kids, big debates happening globally right now.
What are the main ethical dark sides we need to watch out for online?
So many. Echo chambers, filter bubbles, where algorithms just feed you what you already believe. Response polarization. Then there's the flood of misinformation, disinformation, rumors, propaganda we saw plenty during election cycles. Privacy violations, radicalization, cyberbullying, the clash between old values and new digital norms.
And influencer culture. That seems fraught with ethical issues too.
Definitely, especially financial influencers. Regulatory bodies like SEBI are grappling with this now. How do you ensure they're ethical and transparent?
But it's not all bad, right? There must be positive ethical uses.
Of course. Huge benefits too. E-governance, better service delivery, reaching rural areas, more inclusion. Digital tools boost accountability for civil servants, online complaints, social audits, citizen participation, and platforms have a huge responsibility for content moderation, following laws like IT Act 79A. It's a double-edged sword, needs careful, ethical handling.
Absolutely. Finally, animal ethics. This always sparks debate. Do animals have rights? What do we owe them?
It's complex with different philosophical schools. Some argue for full rights, like nonviolence. Others, at the extreme, deny any rights. A common view is some rights we can use animals for human needs, but not exploitively. Then there's the cruelty and kindness view. Harming animals is wrong, but using them humanely, even killing for food or research, might be permissible.
So how does this translate into practice? What are the ethical applications?
We need proper enforcement of animal welfare laws, like rules for elephant transfers, highlighted by the Vanantara case recently. Applying an ethics of care helps guide compassionate treatment. And the doctrine of double effect can be relevant.
Explain that doctrine again.
It's when an action has both a good intended effect and a bad unintended side effect. If the good outweighs the bad and the bad wasn't the intention, the action might be permissible, like using horses for anti-venom or chicken eggs for flu vaccines. The primary intent is human well-being, arguably justifying the animal use despite the harm involved, according to some ethical views. It's complex, but demands humane treatment.
Wow, we have covered a ton of ground today, from aptitude nuances to deep foundational values, and connecting them to over 10 critical modern issues: corruption, tendering, mental health, care economy, social media, animal ethics. It's packed.
It really has been a deep dive. But these insights hopefully give you the tools to navigate these complex real-world situations, not just for exams, but for life, especially in public service. Keep exploring these themes. See how they play out daily.
Absolutely. And here's a final thought for you to chew on. As you navigate this increasingly complex world, how will you ensure your knowledge is always guided by integrity, not just self-interest? And perhaps even more importantly, how can you foster that blend of wisdom and ethics in the people around you? Something to reflect on. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.